On today's show, the LA Clippers get a comprehensive win over the Charlotte Hornets in their return home and have now won 6 out of their last 7 games. What are the biggest reasons for this nice stretch of play? And how about we talk about the return of Norman Powell? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, been a Clipper fan for 20 years, been covering the Clippers for 5 years on my own personal YouTube channel known as Dime Dropper, and 3 years right here on Locked On Clippers. You can follow both wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, subscribe on YouTube. But this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Monarch Money is where you take control of your finances. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And Locked On Clippers has a daily newsletter. LockedOnDaily.com is where you sign up. It is written by yours truly. In this episode, we're going to be talking about James Harden and his performances throughout the season in this game when he's in such a hot stretch of play. And Ivica Zubac, he has been amazing as well. And again, updating Kawhi Leonard watch. Now, as far as James Harden, he has been spectacular, and this game was no different. The Clippers, playing against the Charlotte Hornets, they are not a very good team. It feels like they're constantly tanking, and right now after this loss, they're 17-50, and a team that's 29th in offensive rating playing against our team that's one of the best defensive teams in the league. Well, that's not going to really end well for them. Even without Chris Dunn, it just felt too easy for us defensively. We got Zubac protecting the rim. We got Derrick Jones Jr. covering a lot of ground and being amazing. And James Harden using his hands well. And Kawhi Leonard playing better defense with each game. His rotations have been crisper. He's getting his body in front more. His hands are more active. So if anything, I'm starting to see Kawhi Leonard return to the Kawhi Leonard that we know and love, and that is being a great defender. So what he's capable of doing, you're starting to see more of it each game. But I really want to talk about James Harden because the way he started this game was just awesome. He set the tone from the get-go, finished with 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists on 9 for 15 shooting, 4 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line. I mean, every single category there shooting the ball is fantastic. He's playing some of his best basketball of the season in the exact stretch in which he was starting to look gassed and winded last season, and he's had an even bigger role and responsibility this year. I mean, it really is remarkable for a player of his age. He's really putting together what I think is an all-NBA season, maybe third team. I haven't really, maybe even second team, but definitely not first. I would have to really look at all the other guards in the league. I'm obviously so much more in tune with the Clippers, being that I watch them every game. But 31 minutes for him and just a solid night at the office. Defensively, they had Josh Green on James Harden, LaMelo Ball on Derrick Jones Jr., who started, Norman Powell, who was back in the lineup. That was amazing to see, even though he was rusty and did not shoot the ball well. A game against the Charlotte Hornets in which Norm comes back and goes 3 for 13. That is what you want to see, and we still win. That's great because you can, work out the kinks, work off the rust in a game like that where we don't need him to play great to still get a commanding win by a score of 123-88. I mean, a 35-point beatdown, that's a great way to return home. Obviously, I wasn't able to be at the game. I had a family gathering, had to coach a tournament for my club team, so I wasn't able to be there. But it's great that we got the win, 35-point beatdown, and James Harden got the party started right away. Mark Williams was also guarding Ivica Zubac, Miles Bridges on Kawhi Leonard, Jeffries on Norman Powell. That would be Daquan Jeffries. And by the way, it just always feels like the Hornets have someone injured. Well, Brandon Miller, and it's just they always seem to have some sort of injury issues. Right now, they're missing Brandon Miller. They're missing Grant Williams. So, and Brandon Miller, I mean, he's a good player. Trey Mann didn't play. I mean, I just don't even know what this team, I really just don't even know what this team, this organization, honestly. It just feels like every year they get injured and every year they're unserious and playing an uninspired brand of ball that's looking for more lottery picks every single season. And when you play against a team like the Clippers, where every game matters right now, we're trying to get that 6th seed, it's not going to end well for them. You know what I mean? Even without Chris Dunn, we had no problems guarding that Charlotte Hornets team. LaMelo Ball was held to 16 points on 5 for 18 shooting and 2 for 8 from 3. Daquan Jeffries, 2 for 11. Miles Bridges, 3 for 10. They shot 39% from the field, 18% from 3, and only attempted 9 free throws. A lot of quick jumpers, a lot of us not even having to work too hard to defend, quite frankly. And this game was going to happen on January 11th. That was obviously during the fire stuff, and it was impossible. But it happened here on March 16th, and the Clippers got the job done. I thought the crowd actually sounded pretty good, even though I know for a fact, wow, actually it's listed at a sellout for Clippers Intuit Dome standards. Now, of course, that means not every seat was filled, but every seat was sold. So a Sunday 3 p.m. game against Charlotte being sold out, you'll love that. But it sounded like it. The walls sounded really great. But 32-21, the Clippers were up after the first quarter, and it just felt like we never really looked back. In the fourth quarter, we had plenty of minutes that were just, as some would say, garbage minutes or minutes for, our third stringers to play. So the game was basically decided after 3 quarters. Mark Williams was in drop coverage. The rest of the Hornets were switching 1 through 4. We had Zoo in drop coverage, but he was actually hedging on the screens, I think, to take away that pull-up of LaMelo and make them swing the ball. But as far as our defensive schemes, or not schemes, but matchups to start the game, Harden on Bridges, Zoo on Mark Williams, DJ on LaMelo Ball, Norman Powell on Daquan Jeffries, and Kawhi on Jeff Green. And as I said, Harden was hot to start, got it going with a floater, 3-ball. The Charlotte Hornets responded with a little 7-0 run after that to take an 11-9 lead. And then we went on a 15-5 run after that. Our bench came in, helped that out, and we just kind of ran away with it. Outscored them, as I said, 32-21 in the first, 33-20 in the second to have a 65-41 lead at the half, and you're up 24 points at home against a Charlotte Hornets team that's not very good, and you're already 22-10 at home. Odds are in your favor. Also outscored them 30-21 in the third and 28-26 in the fourth. So you know what that means? We officially gave no quarter. Shout out to the worst slogan ever from the 2022-23 season for the Clippers, but we will absolutely take it. We shot 48% from the field in the game, and then second straight game where we shot really well from 3, 50% in this game, 14 for 28. And it's funny, it seems like these last 2 games we've shot a lot like less threes, both games under 30 attempts, which is not typical of NBA teams these days. But we shot 50% from 3 this game and 44% from 3 against the Atlanta Hawks the other day. So maybe just taking the right threes. And then the previous game against Miami, 13 for 27. So another game under 33-point attempts and shot 48% from 3. So maybe not forcing them as much, trying to drive, playing through Kawhi more, playing through Zoo more. It gives you more open threes through the double team. You probably end up taking more 2s. Because the game before that against New Orleans, we shot 42 threes. Was that something that was talked about amongst the coaching staff? We need to shoot less threes and just take better ones? I don't know. It's something to think about and talk about. But it starts with James Harden. He was awesome in this game. He got the party started. He had 15 points in the first quarter on 5 for 7 shooting and never looked back after that. He was carving them apart and scoring in isolation, getting to the line, and throwing lobs to Derrick Jones Jr. It was a sublime performance from James Harden. For me, he is the player of the game in this one. And in his last 10 games, let's see how many games I'd say it's been since he kind of turned that corner. Because Phoenix And the Laker games, the 2 games against the Lakers, it was a real struggle for him. He was really dipping in performance. And then it's really this stretch. We've won 6 out of the last 7 games. And that's the thing about Harden, right? When you play and Harden's your team and he's the system of your team, you kind of live and die with his performance in many ways. And that does not have the same thing to do with efficiency shooting the ball. Of course, that helps, but it's about how he's playing overall. And in these last 7 games in which we've won 6 of them, James Harden has been the main factor, the main reason. His change in performance, his shooting uptick, and honestly, just the legs he feels like he's had in these last 7 been amazing. It started with that 50-point game against Detroit, had 27, 29, 25, 24, 25, and 31 since. I mean, geez. In the month of March, he's averaging 27, 9.8 assists, and 6 rebounds. So essentially 27, 10, and 6 on 44.5, 37.5, 83 splits, and shooting 10 free throws a night. Could he take this into the playoffs? And what does it mean for us if he does? It really all depends on, I think, Kawhi. When we're talking big picture, I'll save that for the third segment. But coming up, we got to say a little something about a guy who's starting to legitimately dominate teams on a nightly basis. I got to tell you a little something about DoorDash. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Planning to catch the next game? Order your go-to snack and meals at a discount before the game so you're comfortable during it and get ready for more high-scoring action. I've been ordering Dash Pass like crazy since my house burned down. Definitely miss Mama's home cooking, but it's a great resource when I'm trying to watch games and such for these kinds of things. So what you got to do is sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, and I used it for James Harden against the Pistons, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is the place to be for all the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. And if we're going to be talking about NCAA men's basketball, the favorite for the national championship right now is Duke, who are plus 290. The last couple of years, though, in college basketball, it's been very unpredictable, and it always is in March in the NCAA tournament because it's single elimination. Florida Gators are plus 380, second highest odds. As far as women, the national champion, South Carolina, is plus 230. Then UConn, then UCLA, then Texas, and then USC. So both LA teams in the top 5 for the women's odds. That should be exciting. Where do you do this all? Visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. That's FanDuel.com. All right, Clippers winning this one 123-88 over the Charlotte Hornets to sweep them on the season. And you know what a crazy stat they showed was? We have not lost to the Charlotte Hornets / Bobcats at home since 2008, 2009. And guess who was at that game? You're looking at him or listening to him. I was at that game sitting in section 200-something with some of my best friends, Alec and Asher, and my parents. We all went to the game and watched us lose to a really, really underrated Raymond Felton, Gerald Wallace-led Charlotte Bobcats team. And that's when I was like, man, we're losing the Bobcats. Like, we're so not that great. Zach Randolph was playing for us, Baron Davis. I mean, different times indeed. But to be a fan since then, and now, like, even though I've people say I'm a complainer and I'm negative and all that. Like in the grand scheme of things, not really, because, new stadium, a player like James Harden wants to come to the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard wanted to come to the Clippers. Like we have Ballmer, not Sterling. It's just, it's a crazy to, when you put it in perspective like that, considering how long I've been a fan. That's why I always say that I've been a fan for 20 years at the top of the show, because it's like, it's not like being a fan of other teams, being a Clipper fan. It was tough. We went 19-63 that season. Let me tell you the starting lineup in that game against Charlotte. Let me just tell you it, because it's really funny. It was February 28th, 2009. We lost 95-100, and that loss made us 15-45, whereas they were 25-35. They had, this is actually not even a bad starting lineup. Emeka Okafor, Raymond Felton, Gerald Wallace, Raja Bell, and Boris Diaw. Oh my God, talk about two Phoenix Suns that we absolutely hate in Clipperland. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then, as far as us, we started Al Thornton, who I thought was going to be the future of the franchise, Baron Davis, Marcus Camby, Ricky Davis, and Zebo, with Mike Taylor, Steve Novak, Pepperdine legend Alex Acker, and then Brian Skinner off the bench. DeAndre Jordan was a DNP, coach's decision, it seems. That's funny. I mean, just such a different time. But let's talk about Ivica Zubac, right? Zoo has been insane this season, and it feels like every single game I'm dedicating a segment to talking about him. But his touch around the basket, I can't say this enough, it's gotten ridiculous. His left hand, I mean, remember when I first took over the show, he could not spin over that other shoulder and shoot a left-handed jump hook? He couldn't do it. Now he's going to it. Like, you can't really guard. I've always said this. And people think because it's a different era, this doesn't apply. But it's just, you're playing one-on-one defense. If you can turn over either shoulder, you will get any shot you want off in the post. It's just a matter of if you can make it. He can turn over either shoulder. The only thing for Zoo is he needs to catch in the low post, because then the double will come and he doesn't have to work super hard and put the ball on the floor as much. And that's something that he's done. He does almost as well as anyone in the NBA now, which is a huge, huge flaw in modern players, is that they catch the ball too high when they do have post game or just any kind of inside the arc game. Zubac does a great job of catching the ball on the block, and we do a great job, especially Harden, of throwing him those entry passes, Nico as well, and it's just a clinic. We're starting to actually play through him. There were times where Kawhi had the ball on the wing, and instead of getting out of the way, Zoo's posting up on that strong side, and Kawhi's like, all right, I'll dump it down, and they double, and you're seeing the gradual improvement of Zoo's passing out of the double every single game. Remember what I said before the season? It's like Zoo doesn't even get the respect to get doubled consistently. Why can't we at least get him that? Look what's happened now that we haven't had Paul George, and of course Kawhi's been out. We have had to play through Zoo. We've been begging and yelling into a void for it about Zoo touches and Zoo post-ups, and now we're starting to see it, and we're starting to see how much easier it makes our offense. The whole goal of offense in basketball is to try to get two on the ball and then pass the open man, and then the ball's moving. With Zubac, he's now getting double-teamed off the catch. And, I think the biggest takeaway I have here is, yeah, we can talk about this game. Rim protection, great. Finishing around the basket, great. Benefiting off James Harden in the pick and roll with those push shots, great. Feeding him in the post, great. He had a career high in assists in this game. 17 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. It's amazing the progression that he has made passing out of the double teams. Amazing. But yes, 8 assists in this one for Ivica Zubac, Zoo Shaq, Zoo Alcindor, whatever you want to call him. He was amazing in this one. Just putting on a clinic in the post and getting double teamed. That 13-2 run we went on to begin the second quarter, or in the beginning of that second quarter, was led by really Kawhi, Zoo, and James. A lot of it Zoo, defending on both ends of the floor, being a rim deterrent, rebounding. In this game, Ivica Zubac, 17 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Now, he did turn the ball over 5 times, travel, passing out of that double. It's definitely going to be, it's a learning curve. He's getting better at it every game. But he's still not like, Tim Duncan passing out of the post or something like that. He's never going to be, but he's becoming a better version of himself. And that's amazing to see. Just 28 minutes because he got to rest in the fourth quarter. Let's take a look at how many minutes our, key players played in that fourth quarter. Nothing for Kawhi, nothing for Harden, nothing for Zoo. So you love to see it. He probably could have gotten his first career triple-double had he stayed in for the fourth quarter, but we're not chasing stats like that. We're chasing wins like that, and we still got some more games to play to try to get that sixth spot. But Zoo averaging 16 points, 12 and a half boards, 3 assists a game on 62% shooting. The man, for the first time in his career, is consistently not just scoring and having good games, but dominating teams. This is the first season I've ever seen where I'm looking at multiple games, not just one out of every 10 or whatever, where I'm like, they have no answer for Zoo, and there's nothing they can seem to do about it but double. And that is an amazing feeling. But coming up, going to be speaking about the Kawhi Watch. I said every game we're going to have a segment dedicated to it. Let's talk about the performance of Mr. Leonard. I got to tell you a little something about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, so talking about this one, Clippers winning at 123-88 against the Charlotte Hornets, moving to 38-30 on the season, 23-10 at Intuit Dome, and we have 8 games left. I just hope I can make it to some of those. If I didn't go to, I don't know. Last season I went to 29 games. Obviously, I can't equal that now, and that was just regular season. 2023, I believe I did 19 or 20. I'd have to double check. The second highest games I've ever been to was 2022. I went to 23 regular season games, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if we can pass that. But Kawhi Leonard, I mean, every single game I'm, looking very closely at him. And one thing I saw right off the bat was the 3 deflections to start the game. His rotations have been sharper. His hands have been more active. His speed has been a little better defensively, chasing guys over screens and what have you. In the first quarter, Kawhi was 0 for 2. So again, we're not really playing through him as much. I'm still looking at that. He just had 2 points, but he had 2 steals and a block. So those are the 3 deflections I was talking about. Really solid stuff there defensively to, have our team in a winning position. And then the second quarter, you started to see him get going a little bit more. 9 points on 4 of 5 shooting. With James Harden out of the game, it feels like we start playing through him a little bit more. And 9 points on 80% shooting. That's what you love to see. So he went into the half with a cool 11. Cool 11, 2 steals and a block, 3 boards, 2 assists, 4 for 7 shooting, played 17 minutes. So 7 minutes of rest there. Solid, just nothing too in your face. Harden was in your face, 23, 4, and 5. Zubac 11, 8, and 5. So again, and I don't want to divide. Like, I don't want people to think I'm trying to divide. I just think on most championship teams or on most good teams, there is a pecking order. Kawhi Leonard, for me, we need him to be our number 1 guy come playoff time to win a series. Maybe we can beat Memphis or Houston. Again, no regular season evidence suggests we can beat Houston. It would just be off the fact that we're a team with way more experience than they are. But like, say Memphis or even Houston, maybe. James Harden could be our best player in a series and we win, maybe, and Kawhi still be good. But to beat any serious team, to me, when I say serious, that probably means Thunder, Lakers. Because the thing about Denver is, I could see Harden being our best player in a series against them and it not being like a thing not being a problem because, and us, I should say this, Harden being the best player in the series against them and us winning because he has his way with Denver. Our matchup has really improved with them since we've gotten Harden. And I don't know how serious the Nuggets are. I mean, what they did in the offseason serious? They lost KCP. They have Christian Brown. They got Westbrook. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and they already lost. They needed more. They lost KCP and they got Westbrook. I don't think KCP is better than Westbrook at basketball, but for fit reasons, you need great point of attack three defenders in this league and guys that can shoot the three even better. So I don't know. Denver already lacked depth, and I don't know if I consider them super serious anymore. So to beat the elites, I think we're going to need Kawhi to be the number one option, like playing through him. And I didn't see too much of that still, but I love what we're seeing defensively. And he still, had 12 points in the third quarter. So he was starting to cook, which you love to see, hit 2 threes, 9 shots. So we started to play through him more. So maybe the plan is we're going to have James Harden be like a Luka Doncic kind of like first quarter killer. And then we're going to, when Harden comes out at the end of that first quarter, we're going to start playing through Kawhi to build him up for like last quarters type stuff so he can make game winners like against Sacramento. Maybe that's the plan. He had 12 points in the third quarter on 5 for 9 shooting and 2 for 3 from deep. Finished the game with 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block, and just 1 turnover on 9 for 16 shooting. So over 50%, baby. 3 for 4 from deep, and 2 for 2 from the foul line in 27 minutes, and got to rest the entire fourth quarter. So 23, 6, 5, 2, and 1 on insanely efficient shooting in 27 minutes is much more like the Kawhi Leonard we know and love. So here's the thing about Kawhi. 3 straight games of 23 or more points. In 6 of his last 7, so basically all his games in March, he has had 20 or more points in every single game but one, and it was the game that he made a game winner in. He's averaging 24, 6, and 3 on 49, 33, 71 splits. I said let's watch his three-point percentage after his struggles against Sacramento. Since I said that, he is 8 for 16 from 3, shooting 50% from deep, which is awesome. 3 for 4 in this game, which is great. And the non-rim paint field goal attempts, that's something to watch. It's looked a little bit better the last couple of games, even though I don't have the number off rip or on me right now. But we're trending in the right direction with Kawhi. My thing with Kawhi is this. Very solid game. He's looking better on both ends of the floor every single game. We're starting to get there. It's just a matter of time, I guess. What level can we get to? How good can we get him in these last 14 games? He's going to miss a couple of them because there are a couple back-to-backs in there. But if he plays, let's say 10 of these last 14, and he continues like this, because he's made it's been gradual, it's been slower progression than the other years, but we are progressing. I think that's the main takeaway. It's been slower progression than last year and this year before, but we're getting there. And we're getting there at a time in the season in which we didn't in those seasons. And this time, it's right around playoff time, which is maybe what the conspiracy theorists say was the grand plan all along for the Clippers, to rest him half the season. But I don't think that's the case. I think they definitely still want, you can't just assume that Norm, Zoo, and Harden are going to have this kind of a season. I mean, Harden to some degree the most, I think, because his body of work has proven it. But Zoo and Norm, especially Norm, to have this kind of a season, you can't. There's one thing to bet on your players. There's another thing to predict something like this. You want Kawhi Leonard playing because it also helps you sell tickets and get views. So I don't think that their plan was to just rest Kawhi for half the season. I think he genuinely couldn't go. And we've seen that it's not been an easy return back for him. It's taken some time. But now, the last couple of games, you're seeing 3 straight games of 23 or more points. And the game before that, he had a game-winning shot. We're starting to see him return to the Kawhi Leonard we know. It's just a matter of how good of a level will we be playing at in the playoffs. Right now, it doesn't feel like he's the number one option. It feels like he's honestly, right now, the third option. It feels like we're going to Harden and Zoo more. But now that Norm's back, and 3 for 13 in that game, he didn't look great, Norman Powell. But it's a process. 7 points, 1 for 4 from 3, first game back. He actually didn't start the second half, even though he started the game. He kind of came in a little later, so just kind of mixing up his minutes for him. But now that we have him back, it's time to now, going forward, implement all 4 of them together. I always said it when Kawhi said that we're going to have like a big 4. So I want to see it work out. Speaking of that big 4, the guy that was starting alongside them was Derrick Jones Jr., who I thought was awesome. I mean, his lobs, his alley-oops, his finishes, his defense, and he really carried the perimeter defense without Chris Dunn. And I don't know. Again, it's hard for me to gauge because I don't watch every team play, and no one does. But does Derrick Jones Jr. have any claim to be an all-defensive guy? I mean, he's been great too. Because I was talking about it on Locked On Cavs today. By the way, go check out my segment on their channel. I think it's going to be on Tuesday because we're playing them next. But I wish I could go to that game. I really do. But it's the day before All-Stars start, so I have to be practicing. But that's going to be a great test for us. And I'll talk about the preview of that game probably on Tuesday. But when I was on his channel, I was with Danny, the Locked On Cavs host. I was saying how this is going to be a huge test for us. The best offense in the league versus us, who are the 3rd highest rated team in defensive rating, and we're tied for 2nd with Houston Rockets to the percentage point, 109.3 with them. The Thunder got the number 1 defense locked up this year, but we can finish as high as the 2nd best defense in basketball. We're 5 games behind Houston, so we're not going to catch up to them. They're back in the 2nd seed. Of course, remember, the Lakers have lost LeBron James for a couple of games, so they have dipped a bit. But in terms of the standings, we are in 8th place still, 1.5 games behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have won 8 games in a row. And it seems like some people are starting to be like, hey, not too fast on that Randall trade. We're starting to look good. Then the Warriors have won 7 in a row. They're 39-28, so about a game and a half as well. Then the Lakers, I think, are a little bit out of reach. They're 5 games above us in the loss column. So it's all in for the 6th seed right now, and we have to try and get it. But there is a fun fact I have for all of you that no 7th seed has ever missed out in the play-in era. So if we can get the 7th seed, host a game at Intuit against someone like the Kings, oh my God, that would be rocking. But then, and then get the 2nd seed and play Houston or Memphis. That's the goal, honestly. If I had to choose just straight into the playoffs or play-in, honestly, selfishly, I would probably say play-in, even though it's one more game of wear and tear. Just because to get a play-in win at Intuit Dome would just be so lit, because we're going to probably lose first round, although unless we play against Memphis or Houston, then we got a chance. So maybe not. Maybe let's just go straight. Let's just go straight in. But I'm just saying 7 seed wouldn't be the end of the world. 8, which is what we are right now, going to Minnesota again like we did 3 years ago, not a fan of that. So anyway, Derrick Jones Jr., though, solid performance by him. 5 for 7 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 12 points, 3 rebounds, no turnovers. And then our bench, I thought they were really solid in this game. We got 19 points from them in real minutes. Kobe Brown and Drew Eubanks got some time in the 4th. Drew Eubanks played the whole 4th quarter and had 7 and 9. Almost had a double-double in that time. But Nico Batum played 15 minutes and made 1 shot, and of course it was a 3. 3 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and he was a plus 26. I mean, that guy is playing some good ball right now. Ben Simmons, he had 0 points, but I thought he had a positive influence on the game. 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, push his pace. He was 0 for 3 in 15 minutes, but I liked what I saw. Amir Coffey didn't shoot well, but I thought he came in and gave us some energy, some points. 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal for him. Did not turn the ball over. And as a team, we only turned the ball over 10 times, which was really good. Only 2 from James Harden, which is awesome. 5 from Zeus. Zeus had 5 out of our 10 turnovers, so he's got to be better there. But Amir Coffey was 4 for 13 from the field and 1 for 4 from 3. So not the best shooting game, but again, it happens. I think he still helped us win, played 20 minutes, played hard, scored the basketball. And then Bogey, I always said, I've been saying he's our X factor. Every time he plays well, we win. When he hasn't played well, we've lost. That's just been the case so far. I'm not saying that that's always going to be the case, but that has been the case so far. In this game, solid performance. Came in, knocked down shots, made plays, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist on 3 for 4 shooting, and made his only 3 on a catch and shoot. Really solid game from Bogey and the Clippers overall. Solid win. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports content. And it's looking like we're starting to hit a nice stride of momentum going into the playoffs, or going into the last stretch of the season, the home stretch. It's now time to see how we integrate the Big Four together. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers.